Hi, I'm Dr. Rebecca Heiss,
And I'm Ray Anthony.
and we're here to discuss a science-based approach to personal productivity. In this module, we'll be exploring the power of a schedule. Now, I know that scheduling seems a little bit mundane, but don't underestimate it because studies continue to roll in showing increased profit, sales, and productivity from a variety of industries, all based on good scheduling.
I personally feel better when I have a schedule and I stick to it. First thing in the morning, I meditate, drink water, go for a short run, pack a smoothie full of healthy greens for breakfast on the go. I've already prepped my brain and body for the rest of the day.
That is huge. So what about when you get to work? Do you have a set schedule or routine there?
Honestly, that's where I could use some help. I feel like I'm just constantly shuffling things around and big stuff looms over me and I never really get any headway.
Yeah, you are most definitely not alone there. So our brains fear tackling bigger projects. So we're prone to distracting ourselves with little things that feel like work, but end up being largely mindless tasks. So what's the first thing you tackle when you get to the office?
I usually start by addressing my emails in my inbox.
Yikes. So that's a trap. It's really easy to get sucked into the inbox and then you're only dealing with urgent things all day long. According to Attentive, the average employee spends 13 hours per week on emails alone. So it will constantly feel like a race to catch up. You have to move beyond the urgent to actually get to the important things. So a phone call or email ding is an immediate task, but it's not an important one. The longer we push off the important but less immediate tasks, the more likely they are to become urgent. Instead of being able to be proactive in our days, we end up buried, constantly putting out fires on urgent matters that are demanding our attention.
It sounds exactly how my day progresses.
Yeah, so the best way to deal with this is to eat a frog.
What?
It was the recommendation made by Mark Twain. His suggestion implies that if you tackle the worst thing you have to do all day, first thing in the morning, like eating a frog, the rest of the day will seem like a breeze.
Well, relative to eating a frog, I suppose anything's easy.
That's the point. It's easy to conflate activity with accomplishment by staying busy all day, but remember it's the results that ultimately matter. Schedule time first thing in the morning to eat the frog. Research shows that the biggest impediment to accomplishing our goals is often just getting started on them. The longer we put off dining on that frog, the bigger and meaner it looks.
Typically, if I convince myself to actually take the first bite, I start to gain momentum and keep going on to the project.
What you're describing is known as the Zeigarnik effect. It seems to be human nature for us to want to finish something once we start it. Think about the last time you started watching a really bad movie.
Oh, I finished it anyway, wasted 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Once we start tasks, we seem to be compelled to finish them. In one study, participants were asked to complete puzzles in an allotted amount of time, but they were never actually given enough time to finish them. Despite being asked to stop at the end of the time, over 90% of participants went on to finish the puzzles. If we don't finish a task we start, it often leaves us with a feeling of dissonance that just doesn't sit well with humans. I really like to start my workday with about 90 minutes of deep work.
Deep work?
Yeah, well, some people call it the Pomodoro technique, but the broad concepts are the same. Essentially, you're going to eliminate all other tasks at hand and focus solely on completing the single task that requires your unwavering focus. Traditionally, the Pomodoro technique relies on 25-minute intervals of work, but studies suggest productivity peaks during uninterrupted 90-minute intervals.
Sounds intense. I'm going to need a break after those 90 minutes.
Yeah, you sure are. And you should schedule that time too. Research has shown that short breaks of around 15 or 20 minutes result in 16% improvements in awareness and focus. This schedule aligns more naturally with our biological energy cycles, allowing us to work more productively throughout the day. After your break, you can dive right back into another 90-minute session.
I love that idea. Maybe I'll do all my emails during the second session then.
Perfect. Chunking or batching tasks like you suggested, for example, only doing emails or phone calls during certain times, is a highly productive way to schedule time. I would even encourage that you batch out the time that you allot yourself for internet use.
Yikes, but I use the internet all the time.
And maybe that's the problem. Having it available all of the time means that we're less focused about our tasks that we need to complete. Maybe make it available to yourself only every other 90-minute time block. In doing so, you'll find you're much more focused on using the internet productively when you do have access.
Sounds like a plan. Well, according to my schedule, it's almost time for a break.
We gotta keep to that schedule.